So we just, yeah, it's live now.
Here we go. Okay, so it's setting up on my end, so I'll just wait until that ends, and then I will officially start our greeting. I'll just need to make sure that mine is muted, and then I'll close that. I think we're good. Okay, here we are. We're live.
Woohoo! Hey, everybody.
It's officially the live training that we've been talking about for the last couple of days, and we are super, super excited to bring this to you and to chat with you and to answer your questions and so on and so forth. So as you all know, the title of this training is 3 Secrets to Finding Doula Clients. And the reason that we came up with this training and kind of came up with that title is because, as you know, when you request to join the Doula Toolbox community, there's a list of questions that you get asked. And so one of the #1 things that comes up in terms of asking you what your biggest struggles are with your business is finding clients. So we also hear things like marketing, putting yourself out there, not really knowing where to start. But the biggest struggle seems to be finding clients. So we thought, let's put together something that really helps to just kind of remove that roadblock and help you to take action steps and help you to really just start moving forward and not allow that kind of thing to hold you back anymore. So the other thing that's happening in this training and in this live is a really fun announcement that we're just so excited about. And I really want to share it right now, but we're going to wait. We're going to get through the training first, and then we'll announce our fun announcement, our fun kind of bonus that we've come up with. So before we get into the training, the first thing we want to do really is talk about mindset. So you may or may not have seen our Instagram post today. We already started addressing this over on Instagram. And before talking about the 3 points that we're going to talk about, we really want to do a quick mindset shift. So finding clients kind of makes it sound like we're door-to-door salespeople, right? And not that there's anything wrong with that profession. Definitely there's people out there who are rocking it and loving it, but that's not what you signed up to do, right? As a doula, we want to switch that over to how can you present yourself and what are the kinds of things that you can do for people to find you. And just that little switch in mindset really kind of helps to take the pressure off and almost like that burden off of like that you have to be finding, you have to be out there like looking for those people, and instead just creating a space, creating like the openness for people to actually come and find you. So the tips that we're going to talk about today are really going to help you do just that. And hopefully we can lighten your mental load and also maybe some of your workload, because maybe you're spinning your wheels in some places that you just don't need to. So if we can save you some time and energy mentally as well as in like your actual business actions, then we've done our job. So the 3 things that we're going to cover today, #1, the first secret is the power of having an ICA. And in case you are not sure, ICA stands for Ideal Customer Avatar. And so right away, I'm sure some of you are like, ideal customer, I can't narrow down who I'm going to work with. That's scary. You know, what if, you know, nobody works with me if I narrow that down. So we're going to address that. #2, the power of your one thing and being known for something. And #3, the power of showing up. So those are the 3 secrets that we're going to be covering today. And so that's it. Before we dive into those, I should say, quickly, my name's Rebecca. For those of you who are brand new, we've introduced a lot of new people into this group this past week, this past month. So my name's Rebecca Baker. I'm one half of the Doula Toolbox, and Tasha is going to unmute herself and introduce herself quickly, and then we're going to dive into the secrets.
Awesome. So hi guys, everybody, people, sorry. I'm Tasha, and I just feel I've been talking to Rebecca all day about how grateful I am to be in the community, and I just feel like quite giddy. Like I was running around the house today, just super excited for the training tonight because I really just love being a part of this entire group. So I think we're ready to jump in with secret number 1. Hey?
Yes.
Okay. So there's quite a bit of a delay. So as we're talking and anyone's asking questions, we will props to Lindy, who's here at 2 a.m. But anyway, just ask your questions as you go, and we might not answer them right away, but we'll have a little Q&A at the end, okay? So talking about your ICA, this is the first secret. And the reason why we thought of this, so I had a conversation just this week with a doula that is fairly new to another community. And I have been hearing about her for the past 6 months. Like everyone I'm talking to is like, oh, I have this person as my doula or this person. And I'm like, how? And she's not from the area. And so I'm just racking my brain to be like, how is this girl networking so fast and building relationships so fast? So I talked to her and we had a conversation and I asked her exactly that. And she said, you know what? In my training, and this is like what Rebecca and I have done as well to like identify all of you amazing people. So in her doula training, they had to do an ideal customer avatar worksheet. And she said, as soon as I started describing who that was, and for her, it was like health wellness related professionals. Then she said, I just started really focusing my attention on connecting with those people, and clients started rolling in, like naturopaths, like, physios, like all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, good for you. So we wanted to make sure that you feel that kind of strength, like right from the get-go. And you might be like, how am I supposed to know this if I haven't had clients yet? So don't discount yourself from the situation if you're in that scenario, because I'll give you some tips. And I'm just looking at my notes because it's been a long day, a good long day. And so I don't want to forget and miss up anything. So when you're defining your ICA, I want you to think of this as, and I'm sure all of you will relate to this, when you're researching something online or someone's talking about like a new concept, or maybe you've bought a new car, then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I didn't know there was like 2010 teal colored Volkswagens all over the world. And that's my car. And I'm like, whoa, all of a sudden I recognize it everywhere, right? So the purpose of defining your ICA is to have those goggles on. The more that we define who they are, what they wear, where they hang out, and we'll go through a couple questions, what their situation is like, what they're into, the more that you're going to have these, like, I need like a cool name to be like doula goggles or like something like that, because that is exactly what happens. It means that when you walk into a new space, you're going to be like, who's my ICA? And it'll start to be like, bing, that person. And we want you to get to a point where you're so clear and purposeful about that we're coming from a place of serving and not needing. So when someone comes to us, we're not like, yes, right? Like the needing clients, like, I need you. Sometimes we're like, you know what? Like, I actually know a doula that does Indigenous belly binding, and I'll get you her contact info. Like serving each other as a community like that, I think it will go a really long way. So for the ones that feel like, how am I supposed to know? We'll go through some questions. But the first thing I would say, you may already know this if you're in business for a while, in terms of like, here are my most successful cases, and you can start to define that person. If you're brand new and you're just not really sure what that looks like, the first thing I would say is to do some research. So find out really like different components of your training that you're fascinated into. What classes have you been like, oh, I'm really into this, like anything like that. Then the second thing is talk to people that have had those experiences. So if you think you're really passionate about like helping people that are 20 to 40 years old, that might have a different socioeconomic situation, that identify themselves as women, that have previous children, and etc., then you can maybe talk to some of those people. If you have friends, people in your community, and ask them the questions that I'll mention in a second. Because the more that you do that, the more that you'll be like, these people are hanging out on Pinterest. These people are following X influencers online. So it gives you a really good idea of where to go and where to find those, where to attract those people. And the third thing I would say is experience. So as you start to work with more people, you'll start to realize, okay, this felt like a really successful client relationship. So what about this person is very similar? And I'm just going to give you a little bit of a sidebar here. So when I was launching my course, our course called Hectic to Happy, I was generalizing it to all people that identify themselves as mothers. And it was doing really well, but I was also like, it doesn't feel like, people are maybe connecting with the message. And so what needed to happen from there is that someone asked me, well, who is engaging with you the most? Like, who is engaging with you on your platforms? Who's asking you questions? Who seems to be really building that relationship with you? And they were all moms that were in the maternal support world and had these side hustles as a doula in their lives. So that kind of gave me a lot of indication to be like, well, duh, this is a little bit of a bright spot here. So I'll go through a couple questions, but you've got tons of them in your worksheet. And I know that some of you might want to skip this part, but this is called validation. So this is a really important step that could save you so much time and energy into trying to do all the doula stuff. Right. So, and Rebecca will jump into that perspective of being focused in a second, but here are some questions. So what's your ICA's gender? What do they look like? Be specific. What's their age group? What about their socioeconomic situation, their education experience, their family situations? Do they have other kids? How many? What do their ages look like? What are they playing with? Envision that. So to the point where it can be so clear for you. What do they do for work? What kind of books do they read? Movies that they watch, blogs that they follow, podcasts? Where are they hanging out? What are they interested in and why? And then I would also say where they're hanging out in person, because we'll talk about that in a second as well, in terms of that's where you're going to want to be, right? And think about their hobbies. What makes them feel really fulfilled? What challenges might they be having in this moment? What obstacles might they be feeling from a mindset, mental health perspective? And it's funny because Rebecca and I talked about this a while ago as well. So when I had my miscarriage, right away I was emotionally reactive to my purpose, and my ICA was exactly women that had missed miscarriages. And that's okay. Wherever you are in your business, if you're feeling like it's reactive to your current emotions, or it looks a lot like you, where your current state is, let that flow, let that evolve and work with that, because it'll slowly untangle is not the right word. If that's your purpose, go with it. But if you're feeling that that evolves, that is super normal. And what's going to happen is you're going to attract people that you didn't think initially would have been your ICA, and it's kind of organically giving you those hints. So yeah, so I want you to I just saw a quick comment about your drawing board. So this is in the worksheet here. You can see this little lady or person. It's going to become that clear. And if you're into envisioning that, have it in your planner, have it wherever you feel like you need it around your house. And whenever you're stepping into that new environment where you know that you're going to be networking, meeting people, and sharing your doula message, then envision that person and have those top qualities at the top of your mind. So yeah, that's ICA, guys. So take a look at the worksheet, reflect on that, fill it in. And this is just the first step of the 3 secrets. So I'm very excited for all of you, and I can't wait. If anyone's into drawing, show us your ICA, show us what they look like. I'm really excited for everybody.
And that's a really good point. I love that you brought that up, because actually having that picture of your ICA, a lot of online educators that I've learned from, and I'm positive Tasha's going to have this experience too, but they go as far as saying, okay, so you find out all these very specific things about that person, and then you name them, and then you picture them. So whether you find, a picture in a magazine, or, something online pops out at you, you don't have to kind of look at that person and go by their name. You have that person, so that when you are writing your content. So many of you talk about just not really knowing how to kind of add the emotion or how to storytell in your content creation. And it's really hard for you to pull yourself away from kind of like the textbook definitions of things when you're writing. When you know who your ICA is, that's who you write to. You sit down and you picture yourself having a conversation with that specific person. So it just helps you feel more connected with who you're trying to reach when you're writing, when you're creating content, when you're putting together like your packages and all of those things. It really helps to have that clear vision. And so I know one of the other objections I've had to creating an ICA is I don't want to turn people away though. I want to make sure like that I'm accessible to everyone. And we understand that, but what you have to understand and remember is that if you're not the doula for somebody else is, right? There's a doula for everyone. I see that written all over the place on your social medias. A doula is for everyone, and there is a doula for everyone. So don't be afraid that you're going to be, leaving somebody behind who needs support. That's where your community comes in. That's where, having a community of resources that include lots of different kinds of doulas with different ICAs comes in, because you'll then be able to reach into that community and help to support people by pairing them up with somebody who is a really good match for them. And then those people are going to be able to do that for you as well, because maybe they're going to be approached by someone who just isn't their ideal client, but they know you and they know that you are their ideal doula, right? So it goes both ways. So it's just something to really consider and really start thinking about kind of zeroing in and focusing on that thing. So hope that's okay that I added that stuff. As you were chatting, Tasha, I was like thinking of different objections that have already come up in this community about ideal clients. And so I just wanted to toss that on there as well.
Yeah. And it's like, I was acting out of fear, to be completely honest. And Rebecca is the one who helped me with this. I'm like, well, what about the moms that have like, a different side hustle? And what about these people? And, that to me, I just realized that was my ego wanting to be like, I want to help and be the one, to like serve everyone. But there is someone for everyone. So I'm right there with you.
Absolutely. Okay. So secret number 2, the power of your one thing. So this is kind of, with your one thing, we're really thinking about the question, what is your secret sauce? Like, what is your one thing that helps you stand out? What is your one thing that you're super good at that, you could either take and incorporate into your doula business, or it's something like about your doula business that you're really good at. So becoming known for something is super important, and focusing on your one thing is super important for 2 reasons. The first reason is that because, as you guys know, like this community alone has almost 1,000 doulas in it. On Instagram, we've got over 6,000, and like the majority of them are doulas. I'm sure there's different people floating around in there as well, but the majority are doulas. Past that, there are thousands and thousands more. So, and obviously they're not all in one area, they're not all in one town, but we've definitely heard from people who are coming into the community and saying that I'm in a really saturated place. My community has a lot of doulas, so kind of how do I stand out? Well, that's a part of your secret sauce. If you want to stand out as a doula, then you have to become known for something. The second thing that makes that super important is that it's going to really help you so that you don't confuse your purpose, right? And that you are able to set boundaries, you are able to remove distractions and stay focused on what your one thing is. So that if you are approached by, just like Tasha said, it puts you in a place where you don't feel like you have to say yes to everybody and everything that's coming at you, because you're kind of acting out of desperation and not really knowing, what your exact direction is. And we are here to tell you that it's okay for you to have a specific direction for yourself. So number 1, having an ICA is okay. Number two, being known for one thing that you're really good at as a part of your service and a part of your business is not only okay, it's imperative. Because so when you are approached with, somebody approaches you with an opportunity, you get to look at exactly what your one thing is, and you get to ask yourself, does this align with my one thing? Does this bring me closer to my purpose? Does this help me move my business forward and help me reach my ideal client and make the difference that I want to make? And if the answer is no to any of those things, then you're allowed to say no, and you're allowed to remove that distraction and stay focused on what your one thing is and what your purpose is. I'm going to let Tasha jump in on this one a little bit too, because I know that in her Hectic to Happy doula productivity plan, we also covered a lot of this. So I definitely want her to jump in and expand on this a little bit more with me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that when we talk about your one thing, it might put some of you into like a restriction, like I'm only allowed to have one thing, or I need to know what my one thing is right away. And that's not at all what it is. So we're just talking about the concept of focus here. So it goes along with your ICA, like exactly what Rebecca said beautifully, is just defining that person and then taking a look at that's the who. Okay. So now what's the what? Like, what do we end up doing with that person mostly? Is it that we're doing postpartum meals? Is it, I'm just so fascinated by the doula I was talking about, fashion. That's like the fashion doula. Is it that you're like helping women dress, people that identify themselves as women dress prenatally and postpartum? Like, what is that one focus? And then that's going to transfer into where do you show up, which is our next point. Who do you network with? What do you focus on? And all of this totally overlaps. Like, yes, we have other things going on. Of course, it's imperative to like bring your kids to school if you have kids, or, spend time with your family or whatever that is. But we're just giving you tunnel vision into who is your ICA and that what do you do for that person. So here's an example. I have a friend that just sent me today, which I'll share with some of you. There's someone doing a prenatal workshop in the York region and wants to do it bénévole, what's that English word? Voluntary. And was saying like, okay, would you like to contribute? And I'm thinking like, yes, I would totally love it. But if I'm focusing on my ICA right now and my purpose, I don't feel like I have time for that, even though I'm like, oh, I want to help. So it really helps to be able to streamline your time, your energy, and your stress, directly in line with what we were saying before, feeling overwhelmed of having to do like all of the doula stuff. So if that makes sense, I want you to allow your one thing, as much as your ICA, to be ever evolving, because people are going to start to ask you like, here's what I know what my one thing is not. And that's also something that you can do. I don't like cleaning. I really know that when I'm in an appointment and someone's like, would you like to? I'm like, I like organizing. That's different. I like detoxing homes and that kind of thing, but like vacuuming and doing that kind of thing is not my jam. So knowing what is not your one thing is also totally fine. So don't put stress on yourself. I think that's all I would say, and allow it to just like be an add-on to those, like to your goggles, to be like, yes, I'm serving the who, this is my person. What do I do for them most often? And that's going to come with what I mentioned before, research, asking your people what they enjoyed about the most, like with feedback forms from you in terms of like, what was I really good at, like, so to speak, use different language. And then you're going to start to see that come through with research, with feedback, and then also just asking your own questions. So that's all I would add to that, Rebecca.
Awesome. And then I would just add one more thing to that as well. And just that if you're not 100% sure even what your secret sauce is, or like what your purpose and what your one thing are and what your one things are not, ask the people that are close to you. So we did this exercise with one of our Doula Boss Society members who wasn't sure kind of how to stand out and how to start marketing herself. So the first thing we did was ask her to to do a brain dump of the things that she knew about herself. So what were her qualities, and same just like what Tasha said, what things don't you like, what things do you like, and just get it all out. So the initial thing is for you to be able to do that. Once you've done that, go to your close friends, go to your family members, and just ask them, what are certain things about me that stands out? Like, what do you see me doing that, you know, that you think I'm really good at? What do you see me doing, you know, on a regular basis? Because sometimes the habits that we have and the things that we do, they don't seem obvious to us because they're just things that we do without even thinking about. They're things that we've created and that we just, you know, they're automatic. So if you are able to get feedback from clients, of course, that is amazing. But if you are just starting out and you don't really have the ability or that opportunity to get that feedback from clients, go to the people in your life. And so when this particular doula did that, she got a whole list of things back from her family and from her friends, and she was just so happy. And it turns out, not surprisingly, that many of them ended up saying the same thing about her. So that was something that was obvious to all of them, but not something that she would have thought of for herself. So, and that includes, you know, things about your personality, things, you know, that the way that you make other people feel. But it is also dig deep and ask them, like, you know, what kinds of things do you see me do? Because I really love organizing too. But that's not something that stands out for me. Like, I wouldn't brain dump that until like somebody pointed that out to me. So if you're struggling at all thinking, you know, I'm not even sure where to start with this, I don't have clients who can give me that feedback, go to the people in your life and start there. And like Tasha said, you don't have to have it narrowed down all right now, right after this video, but it's something that now is swimming around in your head and thinking, you know what, they're right. I don't want to say yes to everything. And when you say yes to everything and just try to take as much as you can, that just takes up all your space, and it doesn't allow for those people who really resonate with you and who you really are there to help. It doesn't give them the space to find you. So the whole, I know we said like the secrets to, you know, finding your clients, the whole purpose of this is to be able to create space for those people to find you, and for you to be able to start talking in the language of your ideal client and talking in the language of what you're known for, what your one thing is, so that that starts to create a picture, to paint a picture. And that's what helps to draw people to you, and that's what helps for people to find you. So definitely reach out to those people in your life and get yourself started that way if you're not really sure where else to start with that one. All right, so Tasha is going to talk to us about the power of showing up.
Yes, and I just scrolled through the questions, Rebecca. So I thought that I would answer something that's like, that I just feel like if we'll come back to, we might bug some of you and paraphrase too much. So I think we should address it now, if that's cool. Okay, so I'm just watching Camilla's comments. So if I'm understanding correctly, Camilla, there's just this big discussion happening about this amazing discussion happening about how do we market ourselves, network, and attract clients when we feel like we haven't had similar experiences as they do, and we don't really feel like, if we haven't, we don't feel like we have the experience to maybe create content for them. So how do we work around that? So first, I will say that sharing your personal journey and your experience is just like if you're on Instagram, you notice a million people sharing things about their personal lives and others don't. So I would say do what you're comfortable with, and do not see that as a fault. Like, don't see it as others will find clients because they're more open, because that's like saying that we all have to have had fertility journeys. We all have had to have like one baby, two twins, triplets, and know what it's like. We have all had to had miscarriages. Like, you can still relate to anyone that you want to be helping without having had that yourself, because there's people that are doulas that are not that don't identify themselves as mothers and haven't been mothers before. You know, there's different gender doulas. There's lactation consultants that haven't ever had children. So I would first look at that confidence thing, like look at your life in terms of your skills and what is transferable. And don't worry about, like, I would say, who are you comparing yourself to? Like, is anyone saying, that you might not be able to find clients or relate to them because of not sharing your personal journey? Like, keep whatever you need to yourself and your family, and share only what you're comfortable with. And what I would say is just to backtrack to that is what we've already mentioned before. So the three things. So looking at research, like placing yourself in your environment, in your community, whether small or big, to be around different people that are seeking maternal support, and ask them questions. You don't need to share anything about your personal life. So ask them questions about what they're struggling with the most. And if that feels like it's content that you're interested in but don't know too much about, go learn it. Go to the source. Research what you need to, and stick around the community, because we help each other out and we create content, especially in DBS as well, in terms of things that you can share for the people that are in your community that need a certain thing. Like, if you were in a community where there's just 20 people and they just all want help with, I don't know, like postpartum anxiety, and you feel like you really don't relate to that, then we can talk about bringing your business online. We can talk about connecting with people that do have that experience and that skill, and you can give something else, like, connecting in that way. So there's lots of things that you can do there, but I would say give yourself some grace and know that you've got lots of skills and transferable things in your life that can help you understand any given situation, no matter if your community seems to portray a different ICA and a different one thing. So I hope that helps. So I will take a sip of my tea and move on.
I'll just add to that a little bit too, if you don't mind. The one thing that I was thinking right away when that question came up was, you can't assume that you don't have anything, that would relate to somebody else, because we don't know everything about somebody else's experiences, and they don't know everything else. They don't know everything about ours, right? So I feel like that's a bit of a limiting belief, where when we say, well, how am I supposed to connect with people? We don't have anything in common. And all you're seeing is maybe some above level surface, like obvious things, right? You don't know how you're going to connect with somebody or relate to somebody or touch somebody on a personal level just by showing up and just by sharing information. And like Tasha said, you don't have to share everything in the kitchen sink, but just by showing up and talking and sharing, you don't know how somebody is going to relate to you. I've definitely been surprised in the past of people that I've ended up connecting with that I never would have imagined that I connected with, and that just really by opening up and having a conversation. So I don't want you to just assume that just because you don't have the exact same experience as somebody else means that you're not going to be able to relate to them and help them. So that's number one. Number two, I'm really going to encourage all of you, and I just did, if you caught my video from the beach the other night, I just talked about this. I'm really going to challenge all of you to step outside of your comfort zone and start showing up live. That's on Facebook, that's on Instagram, wherever you have the opportunity. I know it's not the most comfortable thing. I'm uncomfortable right now, and I'm not lying. I don't love live video. I don't love, showing up when I love showing up, but I don't feel super automatically comfortable with showing up live. But I do it because I know that it connects with people. I've had really amazing feedback and comments from people that, wow, you're just so relatable when you're live. I don't see it, I don't feel it, but I get the feedback, so I keep showing up. So showing up live, you don't have to show up live and talk about your life and talk about, show the behind the scenes of stuff. The Instagram live tips that I gave the other night were simply like, product reviews. Open up one of your books, take one of your favorite parts out of that book and share a little bit about it. Grab another person who has the same ideal client as you, or maybe even another doula, and pop onto IG Live and do a little interview session with that person. It doesn't have to be, personal behind the scenes stuff, but people can really connect with you when they can see your personality, when they can hear your voice, when they, so I would say those two things as well. Don't assume that you can't relate to somebody just because your experiences are not the exact same. And showing up live really goes a long way to help connect with people without really having to say too much, because once you show up in your personality and you start talking, there's a whole other level of connection there. So
yeah, boom. All right, secret number 3, are we ready?
Ready.
Hyper right now. Okay, so the power of showing up. So we've talked about hold on, I have some notes here. Okay, so we've talked about the who, so our ICA. We've talked about the what in terms of our one thing, and now we need to figure out the when. So this is your show up schedule, or the power of showing up is really a shift. Everything seems to be like mindset shift tonight about what are we actually doing. It's like Pareto, I'm saying that wrong, but the 80-20 rule of like, what am I doing in my day-to-day business and life? And is it producing what I'm after? And if it's not, then a shift needs to happen there. So here's an example. When I had my daughter, Rocky, I was doing some life coaching, and I was doing some business coaching also. And I was helping a lot of postpartum moms with like their health and wellness. So I was like, okay, my show up schedule is to be around these moms and do like XYZ groups. And I did way too much. And I realized that it was overwhelming, and I wasn't really where my ICA was, and I felt drained. And I was like, there has to be some other way. Like, I'm tired of talking about poop. Like, I needed to be in a different environment of like, I don't know, drinking tea with moms and like when the babies are asleep and just talking about life and helping, like you need to really figure out, and I'll talk about some questions that will prompt you to help you figure this out. Look at the activities that you're doing on a daily basis and ask yourself this: is this thought, action, idea, or plan moving me forward to serve my ICA? Yes or no? And when you constantly ask yourself that, you're like, okay, I'm at a yoga class. Okay, yes, do yoga for the love of yoga. But let's say you're going to yoga to try and network and meet people. And you're like, it's like when you're in a movie also, you're like, okay, well, can't really talk to people here. And I'm trying to grow my business. Like, that's a bad example because movies are awesome. But what I want you to do is to really look at where you are. And if it's giving you like return on investment. That's not to say that everywhere we physically place ourselves, we need to be like, okay, what am I getting right now? No, like I want you to be in a serving mindset, 100%, but I want that shift to be happening. So here's my recommendation. I'll ask you some questions in a second, but if you're kind of just starting out, I want you to show up in 2 to 3 different ways. And when I'm talking about showing up, this is where you're networking to be able to share your one thing, if that makes sense. So I'll say that again. So the power of showing up means that you're placing yourself in different places to be able to share your message about your one thing. So I'll go through some examples. Like I'll give you one right now. So let's say it's all about postpartum nutrition. Then maybe you're going to be inviting people into a cooking class. Maybe you're going to be, like wearing branding that's about food, like something like that, where you're showing up around people that might have those similar interests. So here are some questions that honestly, I want you guys to answer. Sorry about saying guys all the time. It's a bad habit. I'm trying to work on that. So in the worksheet, you have all the questions. So are the activities that you're doing right now moving your one thing forward and serving your ICA? Is this helpful to my personal well-being and mental health? So my example that I shared before, it was not. I was doing like 8 mommy groups a week, and I probably just needed to do 2 more effectively. Does this honor me, who I am, and what I really want to do? Is this constructive? Is it a constructive use of my time and my energy? And do I feel obligated or fulfilled with this activity? That's a big one for me. Like, do I feel like I have to be here? You know, no. If you're feeling like you're asking yourself that question and you're unhappy in that environment, you're not going to be attracting the right people. If you're showing up like, you know, yes, you can relate to someone when you're overwhelmed and frazzled, but if you're showing up and you're not feeling your best self, like I cannot jump on a call if I don't brush my teeth. I feel like if I'm leading a training and I'm not feeling my best, hence why I got my hair done today, and brush my teeth, I don't feel like I can serve. So that, like, you might have your couple things in your own personal life that relate to you. So once we remove those time wasters, as we call them, we can start to fill our days and we can run our days. We can start to feel like we are choosing these 2 to 3 activities. And what I would say, if you're just starting out, is choose 2 to 3. And I'll give you a bunch of examples. And if you're transitioning to like a heavier part-time to full-time, and you want to show up more to find your ICA and focus on what it is that you feel like you do best and serve best at, then 3 to 5 things. So here are some examples. Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, like Twitter, LinkedIn, add all the platforms on there. Doing blogging, podcasting, videos, flyers, like old school pull tabs, different mom groups, cooking classes. Like, if as I'm going through these, feel free to comment if you think of any other ones, any social clubs, like adult clubs, meeting people, personal yoga classes, personal appointments. And the reason why those 2 are in there is because we have to intentionally think, where are we already showing up? And it's already hard enough if we have kids and busy lives and other jobs and partners and families and ourselves and our house, that where are we already showing up that we could intentionally be on to share our message. And that's why personal appointments is there in there. Online groups, online Facebook groups, providing value, doing ads, doing online marketing, buy and sell groups, like walk and talk. Like, has anyone ever gone out with their stroller in a park with their baby, handing out flyers to like a free workshop? I have. It's embarrassing. It was embarrassing in the past, but I'm like, hello, blah, blah, blah. And we could do a training on that too. But anywho, there's a bajillion different ways. And you're going to find those activities that you might already be doing that you can double up on or that you can add to your show up schedule. And it's going to be so clear because your ICA and your one thing is going to be like done and dusted. So now is the time to take action in that workbook. Like spend no more than like a half hour doing this, I would say, because the quicker that you do it, like the more that you know with this worksheet, I feel like the slower you go. I want you to go with your gut and your instinct right away and just try and fill this out. It's just to give you kind of a little bit of a fresh and clear perspective. And we don't want you to feel like, you know, you've got 2 hours of homework tonight at all. So try and think of those 3 words. So simply the who, the what, and the when. Like, who is it going to be, your ICA? What is it that I'm focusing on? And when will I be in front of them to share my message? So I'm totally not looking at comments. So if there's any, Rebecca, that you want to address or anything to add, just go ahead.
I'll do a little roundup here and maybe you can have a look, because I actually don't have that window open so that I wasn't getting feedback and stuff. So you go ahead and look, and then we will open up to that. And then just kind of as we're wrapping up or as we're finishing up here, well, we're not finished. We still have a couple more things to go over, but just pop any questions in there while we kind of open up the Q&A part of this training. So essentially, you know, your main focus for all of this really needs to be to get clear on a few things, right? So you don't have to have it all figured out. I love that Tasha said, just do quick fire, like a quick rapid answer session here, so that you're not spending too much time deliberating and thinking, am I, aren't I, is it, isn't it? You just have to choose something and start and go, and then it will unfold for you. The journey, like things will open up for you. It's exactly what's been happening with the doula toolbox. Like, I started out with a completely different intention, and it has just evolved into what it is, and I've just kind of followed it, and it allowed me to start getting really clear on exactly what it is that we wanted to offer, and put together for this community. So really being able to get clear on a few of those things is going to help you when you start creating your content, writing as though you're speaking to your ideal client, and it just clears away clutter. Okay, it clears away clutter, and that is what allows your clients, your potential clients, to be able to find you, because you're not writing, Instagram posts to cover a million topics or to reach a million different, needs of a million different people. A million's a little bit much, but you guys know what I'm talking about. When you're able to just get really direct in what you're writing and what you're putting out there, and will include things like Facebook ads, or what value you might offer to different online communities. It just gets rid of all that clutter, so that people can say, oh, that is the person that I need right now. And it won't be a question for them, right? So they'll easily be able to just kind of slide in and go, I like what this person is saying. They're very specific to what my needs are. And it was really easy to find you, because they didn't have to wade through a whole bunch of stuff to see if you were a good fit for them, or if you were somebody who they wanted to reach out to. So, Tasha, any questions we need to address here?
I'm pumped.
All right.
Okay, so just something really quick. So Christine just reminded me, in terms of like road shows. Road shows are a big one, where you're standing there or walking around or building relationships, and people are coming to you. So that may not be something that you do daily. So when I said like choose 2 to 3 things a week, but averaging like as a new person doing 1 a month, like, wow, that's going to get you so much, but it will help you attract so many people. And quickly going back to, I'll address your question in a second, Courtney. Just quickly going back to, I'm loving the conversation between Alex and Camilla. So Camilla just said, I feel empowered and soft, not a hot, beautiful mess raising a baby. So as I feel lucky, I think that's what you're meaning, Camilla. I feel that women can't relate. So I relate to you. I'm going to say that right now. I had postpartum anxiety, but here's where I felt like a black swan. And I'm hoping that it's okay that I share this honestly with you, with all of you. I felt after my first birth like I had to complain about my labor, because because I felt bad that my labor was beautiful. And I feel like that's really sad, because I felt like I wasn't able to be like, I loved how my placenta felt. I didn't feel comfortable saying that. And I didn't really feel like I related to a lot of people. And in terms of clients, I have not had a client yet that I've been able to be like, yeah, like, really relate to that perspective. So I'm with you. I felt super empowered about my birth. I absolutely anyway, I won't share too many details, but I felt like it was hard in the beginning, challenging, I would say, not a problem, but a challenge that you can overcome, to be able to relate to anyone that wanted to feel. And at times I did say this, because I did have postpartum anxiety, that it totally sucked. And I think just be true to yourself. Like Alex said earlier, like whatever you really felt, to be comfortable with that. So I just wanted to say that I relate to you. So,
and I'll just add super quickly to that too.
Yeah.
Your people are out there. Like your people who can relate to that are 100% out there. Like I'll address one thing with Tasha in 1 second, but it's okay for people to move on. Like you say your truth. You say whatever you're comfortable saying, but you say your truth, and don't apologize for it, or don't feel, that you have to just in case you might offend somebody. You will offend somebody. I guarantee you will offend somebody, and that's okay. It's 100% okay to, you're not going to be offensive. Obviously, you're not going to be outright, rude and offensive. But we have to remember that when people take offense to something, unless it's like blatantly rude. But when people take offense to somebody, it's usually something that has to do with them, not something that you have said. So consider the fact that if somebody doesn't relate to you and feels the need to, show up and let you know that they don't relate or that you're saying whatever, it's okay. You can acknowledge it. Then you can move on. They're not your people, and that's okay. And I don't mean to say they're not your people, like they're not your people. It's just they're not, and that's okay. There's somebody else who is their people or their person or their people that they can relate to. So just give yourself permission to be yourself, and don't feel bad about it, and don't feel ashamed about it, or that you don't want to hurt people or offend people. Like we are all so different. We all have so many different experiences. And just to kind of go back to what Tasha said a while ago, when we were talking about ICAs, the doula that she reached out to, I don't remember, did you say what her specific ICA is? Like, it is so specific.
Yeah, so she
told me, I was like, really? And she's busy, but she is. So it really just it always surprises me. Like, okay, this is totally not doula related. And sorry, I'll let you get to the actual question, Tasha, but totally not doula related. But Tasha and I are in another business group together for courses that we took from this one online educator, and talking about ICAs and like solving specific needs or meeting specific needs. There was one person who took the same course as Tasha, who launched an online course on candy apples, just candy apples. And Tasha, what did her launch look like?
Okay, so initially, within the first couple of days of her launch, she made $26,000, and her launch was open for 2 weeks. So, and she's like, I teach people how to decorate and make candied apples. So if that's not enough of blowing up your vision, people.
And in terms of specificity, right? That is a very specific market. So I just wanted to bring that up, and then also, relate it back to doulas and talking about the doula that you spoke to about her ICA. You can be so incredibly specific and be successful. And that specificity can be your own experience, and you will find the people that will relate to you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I think we should do, I know we didn't promise that this would be an hour, but I know that people, it's hard to contain a lot after that. Yeah. So we'll do a quick Q&A. So I'll go through some questions, Rebecca, and then I'll let you announce our announcement.
Okay, sounds awesome.
All right, so I'm going to Courtney. Courtney says, do you think it's unwise to pick an ICA similar to yourself? Could it inhibit you from having an open mind when listening to other women's stories? Absolutely not. So if you were here earlier when we talked about ICA in the sense that it can be reactive, and especially when it's related to so many hormones and things that we go through, like my first ICA was myself, 100%. And that evolves. And I think that's totally okay. And it doesn't inhibit you from having an open mind at all. Like we just talked a bunch about what you're comfortable sharing and what you're not comfortable sharing. And I think that wherever you are right now, like allow that to be okay. And whether it makes you change your business or change your business name, don't worry about the process stuff. Like don't feel like go ahead.
No, I don't want to cut you off. Finish.
Oh, okay. So don't worry about the process stuff. Like simply think of what you're most passionate about right now, and trust that it's going to evolve as you feel like you gain more success with certain clients and they start to point out what they feel like has been most helpful to them. So totally okay.
Absolutely. And just to quickly add to that, friends, it is exhausting being something other than you are not. So we highly encourage you to not kind of choose an ICA based on like what you think is going to make you the most successful. Do it based on what feels right for you and what like comes naturally for you, right? So if you're throwing yourself in something because you think it's like you know, the thing that, you know, everybody's doing, or that, you know, it's the latest hot thing. It gets exhausting, you know, being like your online personality versus like your regular self. Just be yourself and do what resonates with you and what will come easily to you.
Yeah. And Christine, just going to her comment, she said she felt really similar to what I said about my birthing story when she was in mom groups and felt like she had to complain about her husband. Like,
oh yeah,
you know, and that's a big thing. And if you are there, that is okay. But, you know, just as doulas, we have to meet all of our clients where they're at. Yeah. So whether they felt like they had a traumatic birth, or they felt like it was beautiful, or they want to complain. But what I would just say is no judgment, accept them where they are, but show them their next step. And when you start to do this in mom groups, and when you start to challenge people, and when you show them that kind of mindset shift, people cannot shy away from you. Like, they might be like, who's that girl? But it's going to increase your confidence. And it's just going to be incredibly valuable. So, okay. So there's one thing that Chandra said as well. So just to recap, she's sharing her 3 things and then has a question. So we'll address that right now, Chandra. So her one thing is labor support. Awesome. Like full on birth support. And she says, know who you are serving. So would this be the mom in terms of her ICA? So what I would say, Chandra, in terms of defining, if you've had clients before, then looking at what the person, and I already know because you sent us an email, you defined it perfectly in there in terms of like what their socioeconomic situation is, their education, what challenges they have, do they have care of their kids or not? Your entire email that you sent us is defining your ICA. So that person, along with providing labor support. And then she said, when would I be serving the laboring process? So the show up schedule is, what do you need to do on a weekly basis to be in front of people that need your help? What do you need to do on a weekly basis to be in front of that kind of woman that you defined to us that needs labor support? Like, is it, I just named a bunch of examples, but I'm gapping. Is it like being in groups, like in online Facebook groups that talk about those issues? Is it being a part of organization and networking that are part of childcare? You know, like those kind of things. It's not when, like when labor happens, it's when do you need to be around those people that you just outlined that you're going to be serving. So I hope that helps. Robin said, do you think it's helpful for a newbie doula to have a mentor? 100%. Like, absolutely. And I'm not saying this from a bias perspective. Others can chime in as well. But I have always been told by my mentors that wherever you are, like along your life or business goals, if you feel like you've got a question or you feel like you need support, like go to the source. So I have made like a lot of decisions in my life to be like, I want to save myself some time and energy here, where whether I'm new or whether I'm not, I want to learn. So like, put everything that I feel like I can do myself in my back pocket and go to the source and get that mentor. Like Rebecca and I are like each other's business coaches, which is like really awesome from that perspective. And I think that that's great. Whether you're making $0 or whether you're making $10,000, like we all need life and business coaches. So I totally would say yes to that.
Yeah. And the amazing thing about having a mentor is that you can learn things and just like duplicable. One of the biggest things that I know personally that have held me back from moving forward in business is feeling like I have to reinvent the wheel. And there are just, you don't. Business is business. There's obviously different things like that, you know, that grow and evolve in marketing. But at the end of the day, the bottom line of marketing is meeting people on an emotional level and finding the way to relate to them and to help them to understand that you are the solution to a problem that they have. Okay, whether that problem is like a simple problem or a complex problem, it doesn't matter. Your underlying goal is to get out there and let everybody see, or your ICA, sorry, not everybody, for your ICA to recognize that you have a solution to a problem that they have. And when you work with a mentor, when you find somebody who is doing it, or, you know, you're going to learn processes and systems that are working for them that you can take and duplicate in your business. Now, I'm not talking about copycatting necessarily, but, you know, once a system is created and proven, why not stick to it? Why not use it? And if it's working for somebody else, there's a good chance it's going to work for you if you're willing to kind of follow it and put yourself out there, and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to say that about like the importance of mentorship that I have really noted, you know, and the people that I look up to, is that just being able to learn systems and duplicate success.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we'll address one more question, and then feel free to keep asking questions, but we'll just comment on them after, if that's okay. So great question that has come up maybe like 5 times today. So Carly says, any thoughts on starting a doula business as a nonprofit? I feel drawn to give support to teen and young moms, but obviously that's not a clientele with the most robust financial means. Thank you for this beautiful space. Thank you for being here. So good on you for saying that it's not the most robust financial means. And I have had in the past issues saying that myself, to be like, well, I need to feed my family. But I totally understand and feel your purpose. So what I will say for Carly, I'm not sure where you are in the world, but there are ways to do this. And the reason why I know is because I'm in a collective right now that does that. So what I will say, we can like chat another time about this, but I will say connection, 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 and network, network, network. There is funding. I'm not going to get into some political issues, but challenges, but there is funding out there that you can apply with the right people and the right community health centers or organizations, wherever you are. Find the people within your community that are able to apply for funding, and that's where I would go. So here's an example. Is it okay that I share an example, Rebecca?
Sure.
Okay, so in Canada, there are community health centers. They're called CHCs. So there's funding through these CHCs that you can apply to be able to receive funding. So in our community that's north of Barrie, Ontario in Canada, there's a project that we received for 3 years that is geared towards First Nation, Métis, and Inuit women that have socioeconomic barriers. And so we are able to help them for free to them at no cost. But we as doulas are paid through the funding organization. So that's a basic example, and it might take more time. So I would say like focus on that as your purpose. But if you're feeling like I'm home and I need to feed my family, keep gaining experience, like keep doing another form of doula work that can, you know, bring in some income for your family, and work on that as a passion project, because it is possible. So that's all I'll say. We will move on. There's more comments, but we'll comment later, everybody. And Rebecca will share our bonus.
I will share our bonus. I do just want to tack one more thing onto there, because I love that. I love the dynamic that Tasha and I have, because Tasha does have that experience in the doula community. And I have a little bit of experience more like in business. I know Tasha has business experience as well, but in terms of like business consulting and so on and so forth, the layer that I would add to that is more money, more impact. And, you know, some people, I feel like there's a little bit of a limiting belief among the doula community that there's like maybe a limitation, maybe there's like a kind of a cap financially to how far you can go and grow with your business. And so I want to just really quickly just point out my business mentor, Stu McLaren. This is his thing, more money, more impact. He and his wife run a multi-million-dollar charity where they build schools in Kenya. And when he first started making money, he really felt like afraid of it. He was afraid of success. And we actually had that question, didn't we, recently? The success question. He was afraid of that success. And then he realized more money, more impact. And so I just want for you to maybe think a little like more outside the realm of possibility, or what you think maybe the realm of possibility is, and really think like, if I can really dig into this doula business and if I can really make it like something super crazy successful, then I can create this impact myself. Like I can create these opportunities, I can give. And maybe it's not necessarily you that's offering those services, but maybe you're going to be able to create your own kind of system or your own thing where you are able to help and support those people. So this is more of a, like a little rah dream big, you guys. Like be okay with like wanting to make more for yourself so that you can give back in those ways as well. So
yeah, and don't put that dream away. Like if it is to have like a birthing center for that ICA that you're defining of that population, don't tuck it away, but look at the small bright spots. So maybe you help 2 of those ICAs a year.
Yeah.
You know, and you're fulfilling that part of your purpose and your passion, but you've got other clients going on as well. So you might have a bit of overlap, like, you know, you're transitioning to your ideal ICA, but focus on the small, because if you're not feeling fulfilled focusing on that small, like quote unquote ICA, then you won't feel fulfilled when you're serving a birthing center of 20 women. Okay, let's go there.
There's always a place to start. And I just wanted to make sure that we're putting out there, like, it's okay for you guys to dream big and like know that you're going to be able to have that impact that you want to have. And you can really create that with your business. I know that. I'm confident of it. So speaking of your business, as you all are probably well aware by now, the doors to Doula Boss Society are open, and we have been welcoming new members for, you know, the past couple of days, and we're so excited. And we know some of you are on here and watching right now, so we just want to give a quick shout out to those. Tasha, you see the comments. I don't see everybody who is watching. I don't know if you want to quickly say hello to those people.
There's 25 people, so.
Okay, so to all of our new Doula Boss members, hello, thank you, welcome, thank you for being here. And so for those of you who are watching, you're about to get a sweet surprise. And those of you who maybe are considering the Doula Boss Society, this may be a sweet incentive for you. So starting right this second, anyone who joins the Doula Boss Society and anyone who has joined already will be getting a 15-minute private one-on-one laser coaching call with either myself or Tasha. So if you join between now and Saturday night at midnight, then we will put you on the list and you will have the opportunity to have one of these Zoom calls with us in private, and we can tackle one of your biggest struggles, one of your questions. Maybe it might be marketing, maybe it might be business related, whatever it is. You will get the opportunity to fill something out so that we know ahead of time, and then we're going to hop on a call and we are just going to dive into you, pour into you, and really help you kind of take that next step in your business that you need to take. So that is from now until Saturday night, midnight, Eastern Standard Time. When you join the Doula Boss Society, you will also get a one-on-one private laser focus coaching call with Tasha or myself. And those of you who are watching who have already signed up, you have a laser call coming your way. So how's that for a bonus? I'm really excited about it because I love coaching. I love the one-on-one calls. They are so much fun. They're such a great opportunity to get to know our members more and our communities more. So we're really excited about that.
Lauren, new DBS member, and Christine also. So Christine said, y'all need this laser coaching call. I'm not saying that right, but these laser coaching calls, ladies, I'm currently doing it and have seen insane growth in my personal and professional life. Lauren says, what a lovely surprise. Alex says, I actually want to talk to you more about that kind of work because I'm interested. Like anything that's coming up, that's like, I'm just paraphrasing Rebecca and but it's totally, it's like, that's where we get into the grittiness of like, okay, we've given you this information, but like, I think it was Tisha that just asked a question, like, what if I work full time? You know, like, I know that we can't dive into everything on this call, but the laser coaching call with DBS is where we can address that. Like, what's your main pain point? Let's dive into it and give you an action to feel like you've overcome that, to get like closer to your life and business, your doula life and business that you love. So I'm so pumped for this laser coaching call. Like I might be in my pajamas with tea or like some kind of energy drink around me, and we're just gonna like bust through them. I can't wait.
I know they're going to be so exciting. And then to add on to that, we get the laser coaching call, but then you're a DBS member. So you're also going to get the ongoing support. And we have monthly calls just like this with whoever can make it. We have this breakout into little sessions so that you can kind of do more work with your fellow doulas in there and really problem solve and really make those next steps in your business. You guys have maybe seen some of the success that we've been sharing of our current members. They've only been in DBS for 2.5, almost 3 months now, I guess. And they are all making progress. They are all booking clients. They're all breaking through, limiting beliefs and taking steps that they would not take before. So, the 15-minute laser coaching call is really designed to just kind of help you take off and just get your feet on the ground and running. And just to move you forward. And we're so excited to be able to offer that. And we're so excited to dive into those. So just a quick reminder that this bonus is available for a limited time, just until Saturday at midnight. Tasha's birthday, by the way. So Saturday at midnight, sign up and you will get a 15-minute laser coaching call. Any questions that you might have on what we talked about today, leave them in the comments. We will come back to them. We will address as much as we can so that we don't leave anyone hanging. But I think that's all I have to say tonight.
Boom. So we'll be sticking around for a while and answering some questions that were in the comments. So feel free to, pop some in there. And I had so much fun. So thank you everybody for tonight, and definitely check out the link that we put in the comments. And we'll be in touch soon.
Amazing.
Oh, next event.
Oh, yes. So Tuesday we have coming up an FAQ session. So all of the questions that keep coming up for DBS, we're going to be reviewing those. And then, should I say this? Shouldn't I say this? No. Okay.
Just Tuesday Q&A for DBS. Be there. It'll be awesome.
Amazing. Thank you everybody so much for joining us. We look forward to chatting with you soon.
Bye guys.
Bye.